The sound of the slap was louder than she expected.
I'll have you fired for this!
It wasn't just the impact, it was the silence that followed. Lucy's hand was still hanging in the air when she realized what she had just done. The maid stood frozen. One hand slowly rose to her cheek. Her eyes were wide, deeply shocked. For a few seconds, nobody spoke. The only thing you could hear was a faint hiss of a still hot pressing iron on the table. Lucy's chest was rising fast. She was already late. Her favorite white shirt, the one her parents bought for her from London, had a dark brown burn mark right across the front. She had only worn it once before. "Do you even know what you've done?" Lucy snapped. The maid opened her mouth to explain. Lucy didn't let her. "I asked you to do one thing, one simple thing." Her voice wasn't screaming. It was sharp, cold. The maid lowered her eyes. "I am sorry," she said quietly. "I smelled something burning in the kitchen. I thought the food was." "And so you forgot the iron?" Lucy cut in. She grabbed the shirt again as if looking at it would reverse the damage. "I can't wear this. I have a presentation today. This is not a joke." The maid's cheek was still hurting, but she nodded. "I am so sorry." Lucy shook her head, threw the shirt on the bed, and rushed to her wardrobe to get another one. Lucy Williams was 23, in her final year of medical school. She was the only child of the Williams family. Successful, respected, and wealthy. Her parents had tried over 20 years to have a child before she came into their lives, and when she did, she became their entire world. They gave her everything: the best schools, the best clothes, her own apartment near campus, a car, comfort. They didn't want her distracted by chores or stress. That's why they hired a live-in maid, someone older, quiet, hardworking. The maid did everything: cooking, cleaning, laundry, groceries. Lucy didn't see her as crew. She just saw her as staff, and staff, in her mind, were meant to get things right. That morning, after the slap, Lucy wore another shirt and rushed out. She didn't apologize. She didn't look back. The maid stood alone in the apartment, pressing her cheek gently. It wasn't even the pain that hurt. It was the reminder. Life had not been kind to her lately. Her father had died just months earlier after losing everything in a failed business deal, leaving them already drowning in debt. Her mother had been sick shortly after his demise, weak, constantly on medication. The maid, whose name was Grace, had taken the job because she needed money fast. The pay wasn't glamorous, but it was steady. She swallowed her pride and worked. She tried to do everything perfectly, but that morning, life happened and she got slapped for it. Grace wiped her face and went back to the kitchen. The food hadn't burned completely. She adjusted the heat and stood quietly, staring at nothing for a while. Sometimes survival means silence. That evening, Lucy came back home later than usual. She didn't mention the morning. Grace didn't either. They both moved like nothing had happened, but something had shifted. A few days later, Lucy attended a friend's birthday celebration. It wasn't wide, just food, music, laughter. Lucy wasn't reckless. She didn't drink much. She ate, talked, laughed. At some point, she felt a slight headache. She ignored it. Then it got stronger. Her head began to pound like someone was knocking from inside her skull. She drank water. It didn't help. "I think I will head home," she told her friends. They offered to drop her. She refused. "I'm fine." But she wasn't. On the drive home, the headache worsened. Her vision blurred slightly. Her hands felt strange, light. She rolled down the window for air. "Just get home," she muttered to herself. She didn't know that something had been mixed into the food, something her body wasn't used to, something stronger than she could handle. By the time she reached a busy intersection, Her reflexes were slower. She didn't see the car coming from the side until it was too late. The crash was violent. Metal crumbled, glass shattered, airbags exploded. When people rushed to the scene, Lucy was unconscious. At the hospital, everything moved fast. Emergency, internal bleeding, critical blood loss. Her parents were cold. They arrived pale and shaking. "She's losing a lot of blood," the doctor said calmly. "We need compatible blood immediately." They didn't hesitate. "Test ours," her father said. They tested, not compatible. They tested her mother, not compatible. The doctor didn't react strangely. He just moved quickly. "We are checking the blood bank." Lucy's blood type was rare, AB negative. The hospital had limited supply. They began calling other facilities. Time was moving too fast. Machines beeped steadily beside her. Her mother was praying under her breath. Her father stood frozen, staring at his daughter's pale face. They had waited 20 years for her. They couldn't lose her like this. Back at the apartment, Grace heard the news from a neighbor who saw it online. Car accident, Lucy Williams, critical condition. Her body went cold. For a moment, she forgot the slap. She forgot everything. She grabbed a bag and rushed to the hospital. She wasn't family, she knew that, but she needed to see her. She needed to pray. When she arrived, the waiting area was tense. Lucy's parents were there. Grace stood at a distance, unsure if she was even welcome. She overheard fragments: blood bank, not enough, red type. Without fully thinking, she walked towards the nurse desk. "Excuse me," she said softly. "Can you test my blood? If it matches, I want to donate." The nurse looked at her. "Are you related?" Grace hesitated. "No." They tested her anyway. Minutes felt like hours. When the result came back, the nurse looked up surprised. "You're a perfect match." Grace felt something strange move through her chest. Not shock, not fear, just something. She nodded. "Take it." The transfusion began immediately. Lucy's body responded. Her vital signs stabilized gradually. Her parents were told a compatible donor had been found. They didn't ask who. They were too relieved. Hours later, the bleeding was controlled. Lucy was alive. Grace felt weak afterward. They let her rest in another room. Her arm was sore, her head slightly dizzy, but she didn't regret it, not for a second. Lucy regained consciousness 2 days later. Her throat was dry, her body ached. Her parent leaned in immediately. "You are okay," her mother whispered through tears. Lucy blinked slowly. "What happened?" "You were in an accident." She processed it slowly. The next days were full of monitoring and medication. No one mentioned the blood drama. They told her the hospital handled everything. She didn't ask further. When she was finally discharged weeks later, life seemed to return to normal, except something quiet had changed. Lucy walked back into the apartment. Grace stood in the living room. For a brief second, their eyes met. Lucy looked away first. "Thank you for coming to the hospital," she said almost casually. Grace nodded. "You're welcome." That was it. No deeper conversation. No acknowledgement of what really happened. A week later, Lucy complained about the soup being too salty. Another day, she criticized how her clothes were folded. Small things, normal things, but each word carried weight. Grace absorbed it quietly, until one evening, Lucy raised her voice again over something minor, burnt toast this time, and that's when her father walked in unexpectedly. He heard it, he saw the tone, he saw Grace standing there silently, and something inside him tightened. "We didn't raise you to speak to people like that," he said firmly. Lucy rolled her eyes slightly. "Dad, it's not that serious." "It is serious," he replied. Grace lowered her gaze again. Mr. Williams did not move. He looked from Lucy to Grace, then back to Lucy. His voice was calm, but firm in a way Lucy rarely heard. "No," he said slowly. It is serious. Lucy folded her arms. Dad, she just burned the toast. Why are we acting like... That woman stood beside your hospital bed when you couldn't breathe on your own. He cut in quietly. The room went still. Lucy blinked. Her father continued. She stayed in that waiting area for hours. She looked more frightened than we did. Lucy shifted slightly, uncomfortable. That still doesn't mean she should. It means she is human, he said. And she deserves respect, not tolerance. Respect. Silence. Grace felt heat rise behind her eyes. She didn't want to be the reason for tension. She never wanted to be seen at all. Lucy exhaled sharply and looked away. Okay, she muttered. Fine, I hear you. But her tone carried impatience, not reflection. Mr. Williams studied her face for a long moment. Then he turned gently to Grace. Thank you, he said quietly, for everything. Grace nodded, unable to speak. That night, the house felt different. Not loud, not tense, just unsettled. The days that followed didn't bring change. Lucy was not cruel. She was simply unchanged. She spoke quickly, corrected sharply, expected perfection. If a cup was misplaced, she pointed it out. If food was late, she mentioned it. If laundry wasn't folded away, she redid it with visible irritation. Nothing explosive, just constant reminders of hierarchy. Grace absorbed it quietly, but something had shifted inside her since the hospital. She could not ignore the contrast anymore. 3 days later, something small happened. It was evening. Lucy had just returned from school, tired and distracted. She dropped her bag on the table and called out, Grace, did you wash my blue dress? I need it tomorrow. Yes, ma'am, Grace replied from the laundry area. It's drying. Lucy walked over, checked it, and frowned. It's still damp. It will dry fully by morning, Grace said gently. Lucy sighed loudly. This is why timing matters. If I say I need something, I need it ready, not almost ready. Grace swallowed. I will iron it lightly to help. No, that might ruin the fabric, Lucy said quickly, already annoyed. Just leave it. I will handle it. She picked up the dress and walked away. Then, without turning back, she added, Sometimes I feel like I have to supervise everything. It was not shouted. It was not even meant to wound. But it landed heavily, because Grace remembered another morning, another piece of fabric, another moment when something went wrong, and the sound that followed, the slap. Grace stood alone in the laundry area long after Lucy left. Her hands rested on the table, still, quiet. Something inside her had finally grown tired. That night, Grace could not sleep. She lay awake staring at the ceiling, thinking about money. Her mother's medication was almost finished. The doctor had warned her the last time. If she misses even a few doses, her breathing will worsen. Grace turned on her side and checked her phone. 2 missed calls from the hospital clinic. Her stomach tightened. She called back immediately. The nurse spoke plainly. Her condition dropped this evening. She should come tomorrow morning. We may need to adjust treatment. Grace sat up slowly. More treatment meant more cost, more time away from work, more strain. She rubbed her face with both hands. For months, she had been managing everything by stretching herself thin, working harder, sending money home, visiting when she could, pretending she could handle it all. But now something had shifted. The next morning, she waited until Lucy left for school, then called Mr. Williams and told him she needed to speak with him and his wife. When they arrived, she stood respectfully in the living room. I am grateful for the opportunity, she said, but I need to leave. My mother's health has gotten worse. I cannot continue working. I need to stay with her. Mrs. Williams looked concerned. Is it serious? Grace nodded. Yes, ma'am. Mrs. Williams didn't ask further questions. She walked straight to Grace and held her shoulders gently. Go, she said. Family comes first. Mr. Williams gave her an envelope. Take, "This may help for now," he said softly. Grace looked at it, then at them. Her throat tightened. She bowed her head slightly. "Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am." When Lucy was informed, her reaction was flat. "Oh, okay. We'll find someone else." The hospital room felt heavy when Grace walked in. Her mother lay propped slightly upright, oxygen tubes resting against her face, chest rising with visible effort. Each breath sounded like work. Grace moved closer, slowly. "Mom." Her mother's eyes opened halfway. They softened when they saw her. "You came." "I'm here." Grace pulled a chair close and held her hand. The skin felt thin, fragile, too light. The doctor came later that morning. "She's very weak," he said gently. "We are adjusting medication. But you should prepare yourself. The next few days are critical." Grace nodded silently. She didn't ask how long. Some questions only create fear when spoken aloud. The first day passed in quiet watching. She wiped her mother's lips with a damp cloth, adjusted the blanket, listened to the rhythm of machines. At night, she slept sitting up, her head resting beside the bed. On the second day, her mother spoke more, weakly, slowly, but clearly. "Grace, there is something I must tell you." Grace leaned closer immediately. "Rest first." Her mother shook her head. "No, listen." Her fingers tightened slightly around Grace's. "What you believe about your baby is not true." Grace frowned, confused. Her baby, a subject buried years ago. "We told you she died," her mother whispered. Grace felt a strange unease crawl into her chest. "Yes." Her mother's lips trembled. "She didn't." Everything inside Grace went still. The air felt thick, heavy, unreal. "What do you mean?" she asked slowly. Her mother closed her eyes briefly, gathering strength. "You gave birth to a healthy girl." Grace's heart slammed violently against her ribs. No, I saw nothing. They told me." "We lied," her mother said. The word fell between them like something solid. Grace's grip on her hand tightened without her realizing. "Your father was afraid of scandal, of shame, of what people would say. Our family name, our reputation. Everything mattered to him more than anything." Her voice shook. "We told the doctors to tell you the baby died." Grace could not breathe properly. Her mind rushed backward through years of grief. The night she screamed until her throat burned, the empty feeling in her arms, the tiny clothes she never used, the quiet morning that followed her into adulthood. "Where is my child?" she whispered. Her mother looked at her weakly, tears sliding slowly down her temples. "We gave her to an orphanage." Grace stared at her, frozen. Alive? Her child had been alive, breathing somewhere in the world, while she mourned a death that never happened. Her mother struggled to lift her arm. "In my wardrobe, bottom drawer, blue cloth. The documents are there." Grace's voice trembled. "Why are you telling me this now?" Her mother's breathing became uneven. "Because I am leaving, and truth should not die with me." Silence filled the room except for the soft mechanical sounds of the monitor. Grace pressed her lips together tightly. Anger surged, sharp, burning. But beneath it was something deeper, loss multiplied. She had not just lost her child once, she had lost her child twice, once to a lie and once to time. Her father, a powerful businessman obsessed with reputation, had been furious when she got pregnant at 16. A pregnancy outside marriage would stain the family name. So, he locked her inside the house for months, told neighbors she was studying abroad. After delivery, Grace woke up weak and confused. They told her the baby didn't survive. She mourned for years, and all along, her daughter was alive, somewhere, breathing, growing, calling another woman, Mommy. Her father later lost his business in a massive financial collapse. Investment failed, partners disappeared, death swallowed everything. The stress triggered a stroke. Hospital visits became routine. They sold cars, sold jewelry, sold land. But they couldn't save him. When he died, they became broke. Grace found small jobs to survive. Then, her mother got sick shortly after, and now here they were, at the end of everything, with one final truth dropped like a stone into her chest. Her mother survived 2 more days before she finally stopped breathing. Grace stood there, holding her hand, feeling the warmth slowly fade. No scream, no collapse, just quiet tears sliding down her face as something final settled inside her chest. She was alone now, completely,